good.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
And let's see. And we're live. I start every episode and we're live. That's just going to be named and we're live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to SVT time. It's another Tuesday. It's another SVT. I have nothing to cheers with, my water bottle. I'm Dino Monoxilus, your host. Dom Liberati's here as well. It's a party. It's always a party. Every Tuesday, it's a party. This is episode 50. 50. We turned the big 50. SVT time is almost officially as old as I am right now, so we're going to leave it at that. But this week joining us is my good friend Sean McNabb, Ampeg artist, bass player extraordinaire, actor. Man, there's so many things. Sean, every time we get together, it's usually at a NAMM show, and we have like 5 seconds to talk before all hell breaks loose. So it's always like, this is the conversation that we always want to have at NAMM, but we just never have time to because we're always getting yanked in so many different directions. So how you doing?
Man, it's so great to be here. I'm honored, guys. And, I always wanted to have that conversation. So this is really cool. I remember when I was 50. But,
yeah, but you're going backwards, man. You're going backwards. I heard a great quote, and I put it on my Facebook page the other day. My birthday was last month, and I put it on my Facebook page, and it was something to the effect of, age is just a number that life gives you to dictate how you should feel, act, and do things. That's all it is.
I love that, man. And I think there's a lot of truth to that,
Yeah.
It's weird thinking, man, I'm going to be 60 in 3 years, but here we are.
Dude, you know what?
That's impossible. What filter do you have on right now on your camera?
It's the 40s filter.
Yeah. No, I know it. It's all what's in here, man, and what's up here, and it's the day after that dictates what you did the day before.
Word up to that. Man.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Oh man. So we got so many things to talk about. Let's see. Where do we start? So let's start with your beginning, Sean. So you grew up was it Indiana?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you came to LA after, did you just come to LA as a bass player, looking for your dream, or what happened? You tell us.
I did, but here's the deal, Dom, with my mom dropped me off at this movie Tommy by The Who when I was like 10 years old, and I went in and saw that movie, and it's a pretty out there movie. Didn't really understand it, but what I did walk out of there with was I loved the music, and I was gravitated towards the bass of Entwistle, and he's the whole reason that I play, know. But I walked out of that theater that day just going, man, that's what I want to do, and somehow I knew it in my heart, and that led to me, getting a guitar, and I switched right to bass immediately. I always played with my fingers, and I grew up in the circuit, playing around the circuit in the Midwest and Florida. Went to New York, and then I had an opportunity to come to LA. MTV was exploding and everything, and like you said, I was following my dream. So I loaded up a Nissan Stanza with an SVT in the back, 2 basses, $200 in my pocket, and about 3 changes of clothes. Boom! I was gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just. Wow. Like nothing in concrete at that point. It was just like, I got to go to LA and get and make things happen.
Well, I knew that I had a place to stay with a friend of mine from Louisville, Kentucky. She's like, you can come out and stay on my couch for 2 weeks and see how it goes. So I knew I had at least a couch to crash on for a couple of weeks. I called it the Hollywood Couch Tour. And, but I just took the leap of faith, and I got really lucky, guys. I was out there within 2 weeks. Someone took me to the Cat House.
Okay.
Ricky Rackman and Tammy Downs' place.
Sure.
a lot of rock stars, a lot of stuff. So someone took me there, and I met Frankie Benelli, God rest his soul, and
Okay.
hey, we're looking for a bass player. Why don't you come over tomorrow? Gave me the address, and I came over the next day and recorded a couple of songs with them that they were working on, and they go, you know what? You got the gig. So I was
Wow.
this kid, following his dream. I'm driving over Laurel Canyon. When I got the call, just like screaming out the window, I got the gig. I'm in Quiet Riot.
And that was at the height of Quiet Riot's. Like, they were on top of the world at that point too, weren't they?
They were still doing really well.
Yeah.
Like QR3 time.
Yeah.
And that led to me becoming really good friends with Rudy Sarzo, one of my mentors, in life, and Chuck Wright, of course. But I had Frankie Benelli to thank for my start in the business.
Okay. Wow. Just by being in the right place at the right time, and that's kind of how that transpired. Then you just happened to be at the Cat House that night that Frankie was there.
Yeah, I think it was a God thing. It was the right place at the right time, the right look, right tops, and really, it was my destiny. I think.
Yeah, and of course, like anybody that's been in this business for as long as we have, that gets you in the door. You still got to have the chops. You got to have the attitude. You got to have the luck. Otherwise, you don't get the gig. You get in the door and they toss you back out again. So
and you got to be a good hang.
Yeah,
that's,
dude, that's it. That's it. And I got to be honest. I was so green you could smoke me.
I'm using that one.
Business, and I made every mistake, and you name it. But that's how we learn.
Yeah. Of course, Frankie. I don't know Frankie, obviously not nearly as well as you do, but what I do know of him, he was such a huge heart and such a patient, like willing to give everybody enough rope to hang themselves and then help them out once they hung themselves, sort of thing.
Yeah. And believe me, I did.
Now, at that time, did you get did you get any kind of words of encouragement or words of wisdom from Rudy and Chuck, who came before you at that point, or were they just did they tell you?
Became friends, close friends later. He was off with Whitesnake and everything, and Chuck and I became friends later too. We're the best of friends now. I think at that particular time, I think Chuck was probably like, oh man, who's this new kid taking my gig and stuff, So
yeah,
it was one of those things. But we've become the best of friends, and I have the utmost respect for both of those guys. I find myself often going, what would Rudy do in this situation?
Yeah.
And he's a phone call away, and I've put that phone call in many times, and he's helped me out, and
me too, and in life too. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
It's like there's situations where the blood pressure goes up a little bit, and we know Rudy so well. It's like once I start getting aggravated or blood pressure starts building, it's like I do this. I stop and I go, I wonder how Rudy would handle this.
Totally. And the really cool thing is that, I think I saw their first headlining concert and, just fell in love with Rudy's playing, and to be a close friend of his, it's a pretty neat full circle thing,
Yeah. That's man, Rudy's been a guest a couple of times on here, and it's like, it's funny. There was one, I forget what episode it was, but like he started talking about quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was telling you, like when we were emailing back and forth. It's like this conversation, it's focused around Ampeg and SVTs and stuff like that, but it could take a hard left turn at any point, and we could start talking about chicken sandwiches for all I know. So
I know more about chicken sandwiches than I do quantum physics, I'll tell you that.
You and me both. So after
Sean,
oh, good.
Oh, sorry. I had a quick nerdy question, because he was talking about when you first moved to LA and everything that you had with you, including an SVT. And I was just curious of was there a journey in terms of getting the SVT, or was there like, did you like kind of do the typical, we start with a small combo amp, we get this, we get there. Was it just kind of like, I'm going guns blazing from day one, and you kind of always had a big rig, or like
Guns
before you moved
blazing.
out?
Well, my first rig was actually my parents' stereo, and you used to plug into the tape deck, put it on record, and that was your amp. That's how that was my first rig. But I always saw the guys that I looked up to and the regional bands. They all had Ampeg SVTs and tube heads, and that's what I got to have. I love the tone. So I borrowed some money from my grandfather for a car, and I think it was $1,500, which is a lot of money at the time, And I ended up buying my first SVT with it instead, much to his chagrin. And I told Dino the story, but the truck pulled up to my house, and the guy's loading it off the back, and there I am, bring it down without anything happening to it. But that was my first SVT, and it's been the only amp I've ever used in my career. I get bummed when I show up. Sometimes you go to a jam and you're like, really? Okay. But, it's never let me down. And, it's just, everything I do is amp. I've learned hundreds of tunes right here on this thing right here in my phone. I'm telling you, what a tool. This thing is like the greatest tool for song learning, as we do as bass players. That I've ever had in my career, and so thank you.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Thank you. Yeah.
That's one little thing that it does, it does so many other things.
Yeah. I remember when we launched that, it was like, everybody was like, so what does it do? Well, it's DI, it's a preamp, it's a practice tool, it's an in-ear monitor mix. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of tools,
Exactly.
So, yeah. That's cool that you're using it to learn tunes though too. So awesome. Yeah, it was just kind of like, it's I kind of had a similar situation when I moved to LA. Literally, it was in a U-Haul truck. And it was only a U-Haul truck because I had to take my Harley with me. So it was like U-Haul truck with a Harley, 3 810s, 3 heads, all my basses and all my clothes.
3 810s.
3 810s and 3 heads in flight cases.
Wow.
And you know what? I never I used one for auditions around town, and it was funny because I had my Harley. My buddy Dale Titus had a Nissan, or actually it was a Datsun pickup truck. And we would go on the same auditions and he would drive me to the audition in his pickup truck if he could use my bass rig for the audition. So like we're showing up, I forget who it was. We showed up at the same audition with my bass rig, and the guy, I think it was Michael Nesmith's son, actually. He was like, so you guys are both here to audition. You gave him a ride and you're using his bass rig. And like, how is that all? It's like, dude, best man wins kind of thing. Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, if you got the gig, does he you're on your own getting home? You got to like take the 810 yourself.
It's funny you say that, because that was the deal. Whoever gets the gig, the other guy is that person's tech for the gig.
Oh, nice.
That works.
Exactly.
At the rainbow.
Yeah. Right. So Sean, after Quiet Riot, where'd you go from Quiet Riot? And how long were you with Quiet Riot at that point?
I think it was 2.5 years, one album. It was my first national album. And it was interesting because I had Ray Gillen and Jakey Lee going, dude, come over and play with Badlands. And we'd really like to have you in the band, and Eric Singer and everything. And I go, no, man, we just finished the record, and, it's getting ready to come out and everything. And I stayed with Quiet Riot. Looking back, I'm not sure, maybe that was a move I should have made, but
Yeah.
I'm loyal, and I felt like that was where I was supposed to be,
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I loved Ray Gillen's voice, man.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. No, but yeah, like you say, that's there's no right or wrong decisions. It's just kind of that's what happens. That's you're where you're supposed to be. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I think the next thing we ended up getting our own deal from Pasha Records, which was Pasha CBS, had the distribution with CBS. So we had our own deal after Quiet Riot, Paul Shortino and I.
Oh yeah.
And we were working on a record there. We made a record there. But that eventually led to the House of Lords gig, which I got. And that was the next kind of big record that I did. And Tommy Aldridge was on drums in the band, so I got to do an album with Tommy.
Oh, wow.
It was a dream come true. I was a huge Black Oak and Ozzy fan, obviously. And
yeah.
So that was pretty.
Man, I forget about that. Like Tommy that was Tommy's start, was Black Oak, Arkansas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. I always forget about that because he's been with so many iconic bands. It's like you forget about that whole, the beginnings, the early beginnings.
Yeah. All started with Black Oak, Arkansas. And I think he was doing that hand drum solo back then. And that's been his signature thing,
Cool.
Yeah.
And how,
so you had mentioned, I was going to say, you had mentioned the Who movie.
Yeah.
What other early musical influences did you have that just really propelled you into the bass world too?
Well, my parents were kind of the hippies with the beaded curtains and the lava lamps and all that stuff. And so I was hearing all that good 60s music, all the Beatles stuff, Elton John a little bit later, the Steppenwolves, the Guess Who, stuff like that. Just all that late 60s music, Hendrix.
Yeah.
We all remember the first time we heard Hendrix and how life-changing that was,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Wow. Now, have you always been, you said, well, back then and during the Tommy era, I'm trying to think. I think at that point, Entwistle was kind of using his Fender Birds or his Thunder Fenders or.
Yes.
But you've always been primarily a P bass guy, right?
Well, yeah, I've got some great P basses. That's happened probably in the last 20 years, but I was a Spectre guy for a long time.
Okay.
And I still am. I record a lot with those, and I don't know if you can see the black there, but I've got two of those Brooklyns, like I know you love, Dino.
Yeah.
I think it's like 380 and 540. Those, so they're spanking, and I got a ZO2 gig tomorrow night, which I play the black one because they asked me to replace Dave, who died in that touring accident a few years ago. So he always played the Spectre. So I've kind of fallen in love with them again. They've got a specific tone, but a good Spectre through an SVT. Woo.
Yeah. It's a total, and it is. It's a total different sound from a 4-string P bass through an SVT.
Totally.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to show you this. I just got this.
Oh,
nice.
Oh
yeah.
Got this from a friend of mine that I've known for 30 years. It was her dad's bass. It's a 62 P bass. It's butter, man. And she finally goes, I'm going to let go of my dad's bass. And she called me like 30 years ago. I was like, if you ever get rid of that, let me know. And she knew my heart was in the right place. And I go, honestly, I can help you get as much money for that thing if it's about money. And she goes, no, I want you to have it. I want you to play it. I want you to see. So I'm going to give you a really good deal on it. And she did.
Yeah.
And, I'm just honored. But wow, there's something about that thing's older than I am, It's just
yeah.
There's something about those old woods that are just beautiful,
Yeah.
So
if I've been vibrating at G, A, and E for the last 50 some odd years, there'd be something special about me too. But well, I mean, that's just like, you think about it, like those little P basses, they've been vibrating at certain frequencies for 50, 60 years.
Mhm.
And, I truly believe that wood kind of aligns itself to vibrating in those frequencies for doing it for so long. So that's why when you pick up an old P bass, it sounds the way it does. And some P basses sound better in different keys than other
Yeah.
P basses, I think.
Yeah. I believe that. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Basses are they're all different, you either it's or it doesn't, and just because it's old, doesn't mean that it sings. It's interesting. I played some nice 59s and things like that, but they didn't resonate the way certain ones do. And I played some brand new ones that resonated great.
Yeah.
And some that didn't. So.
Yeah.
Now, you recently got into flat wounds too. Was it because of that P bass, or?
I've always loved the tone, and I've had some, my older bass player friends going, dude, you got to use flat wounds, man. It's once you start, you'll never stop. And I went out and I saw one of my bass player buddies, Derek Frank, who's an amazing bass player, really good. And I noticed that he had flats on there, and he goes, hey, why don't you try out a set of flats? And I had some. I'm an Ernie Ball guy, and I popped them on, what did I pop them on? On this Custom Shop 59, which is really awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is. And honestly, I never, with round wounds and everything, this one never hit home with me. But since I put these flats on, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Now the bass sounds great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a different thing. And, I'm getting into it. I love the tone of it and how organic and mellow it is. But it's just another tool for sessions and stuff. And
Sure.
that'll be coming out to a lot of recording sessions with me. But it's a Custom Shop 59. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, Sean, your other white P bass that I always see you with, what year is that?
That's mostly a 73, and it sounds really good. It's pretty beat and stuff, but I really like the bass. I call it the money maker. I take it out on most of the gigs and things like that. And this is, how basses, like some of them really like standard, and some of them like E flat, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
This one seems to be okay in either.
Okay. Yep.
And it doesn't get too flappity and clickety and E flat and stuff like that. So I can go back and forth, and we know as bass players that sometimes in a night you'll be tuning up and down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that one's been a really great one for it. It sounds pretty good in the studio too. But there's round wounds on that.
Okay. And that's primarily the bass that I normally see you with too, that white P bass. Like,
I've been playing that for about 23 years now.
Yeah. That's so funny, man. It's the old joke, it's like, I can't remember your name, but I know you play a white P bass with a tootless pickguard, and
How many I don't know if you guys are like I am, but how many times have you been like getting ready for the gig and putting your stuff in the bag and everything, and you're like, I'm gonna play that tonight. You put it in the bag, and then you're about 10 steps from the door, and you're like, and then you go back and you grab the money maker and you put it in the bag because it lets you down
every single time.
Okay, good.
Every
not
single
alone. Yeah, you're not alone. That's why I got the mono double bass thing, just in case. I could take two things and decide later once I get there.
That's just it, right? My wife, she'll see me walking out the door with like 6 basses.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were only doing like a 50-minute set tonight. It's like, yeah, but I don't know which bass I want to play. And you know,
fives, right, Dino? You like the fives, huh?
primarily 5. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But I just got a actually David Rowe, the Nashville session guy. Dave's a legend in Nashville. He's been helping me look for a vintage P bass. So, and Dave's the guy is like, man, you don't want to buy anything newer than a 62. He says, you want a 62 or a 59? He says, I'll find you one. And every bass, we all know anything that's worth anything 59 or 62s,
Oh, yeah.
And he was finding me all these P basses. Like, Dave, I can't spend that. That's it's a car for me, So long story short, what's that?
8 to 10 grand, probably, right?
Oh, easily, yeah. So I think he just got so sick of like calling me and me turning down what he was finding for me. He finally said, he says, listen, man, he says, I've got a Fender Road Worn. It's a 59 knockoff. It's better than any 59 that you'll ever buy, and I'll sell it to you dirt cheap. So that's he ended up selling that to me, and it was set up perfect. Had the flat wounds on it. I think it had I can't remember anyways. That, like, I joked with him, I said, you're just tired of calling me with basses, and I say I can't afford it. So this is like a sympathy purchase or a sympathy sale for you, right? But that's been my go-to 4-string for a lot of the shows that I do. If I'm gonna play a 4-string, I usually pick up that bass for that reason.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm not really all 5 strings at this point. I'm playing. It's all bro country stuff. It's all. Yeah, so it's they want that low D, low whatever,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was my way around getting a actual vintage. That's originals. It's the American Original series for Fender. It's supposed to be like a 62, like all the specs of a 62. And Dino, you've played it. It's like I can't put it down. When I need a 4-string now, I feel bad for my other basses because it sings, man. It sounds so good.
Yeah,
so good,
man. And you got a telly bass there too, or something?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it's a Mike Dirnt body, and then I just modded, like, everything else is kind of like Frankenstein together from Fender parts. But that one I love. That one's got the best round wound pick into an SVT sound for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's got like Berlin P bass pickups in it.
Dom, I was just going to say you could never be a weatherman.
I know.
You're like, and up here in Wisconsin, they're going
black and white. Oh, I did the right one that time.
Yeah. And this is Dom. This is actually one of Dom's basses too. So
what's that? I can't see.
That's the Yamaha.
Oh, it's
the active BB.
Yeah. It's a Yamaha 734.
Oh, cool.
So for those of you that are watching, that are fans of SVT time, that have tuned in the past, I'm actually sitting in Dom's office because I'm in LA this week. So I'm calling in from Dom's office. Dom's not in his office. He's in his home studio, and Sean's in his home studio. So just so all you guys know, by the time I'm done here, I am going to completely rearrange Dom's office. And if there was a way I could figure out a way to stick his desk to the ceiling just to play a joke on him, I would do it.
Please do, if you find a way.
Hey, Dino, I want to show you this just because it's out here. Yeah. Do you remember these?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and dude, it's a Conklin 7-string.
Wow.
Remember these? And it's got a broken F string on it, I think. But
yeah, you don't need that.
But I'll never forget. I showed this to Phil Chen once because I was taking lessons with Phil Chen, who I just love, man. His playing so great. He goes, "Yeah, man, it looks like a football field." But,
that is massive. That neck is crazy.
Look at that neck, man.
Wow.
That is crazy. You could floor your hardwood floors with that much wood, for crying out loud.
He's insane. I used to do like a solo on it, play with entirely too many notes and all that stuff. But either of you guys, mi casa is su casa. So if you're in LA and you need something, I got
Thank you.
whatever you need pretty much.
Thank
So just hit me up, seriously.
Thank you.
You have to bring
I'm
it
gonna
back.
bring. Yeah, I'm gonna bring that 7-string in just to intimidate one of our main QA testers. He's a phenomenal player. He prefers very non-traditional basses. He has a double-necked, fan-fretted headless, basically. What is it? A 6-string and a 4-string? I can't remember what. He's got like the weirdest configuration of basses, but they're pretty incredible. He has like a headless 6-string fretless as well.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Status or something, or what is it?
I don't know what it is.
But yeah, it blows my mind every time I see it.
Brett, if you're watching, tell us what you're playing.
Yeah.
Dom and I joke with him because like whenever he comes in, when we're beta testing new products and new designs and new ideas, like the running joke is like, Brad, bring a 4-string bass. Like don't bring your aircraft carrier, bring a 4-string bass. And sure enough, he shows up with a double neck, 20-string. But in fairness, Brad is the type of guy that can play that thing and make music with it, not just sound like somebody,
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's really what it's about, is making music. And
Yeah, absolutely. So Sean, you were taking lessons from Phil Chen. Have you any other lessons or notable people you've studied with, or?
Basically, I left high school to go on the road. Very early on. I think like in 11th grade, I'm like, you know what, I'm out of here. This is what I want to do. And I'll never forget. I was making $250 a week playing in a cover band, a circuit band. And, at the time at 18, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And there was lots of good looking women around and, a little bit of booze. And so I was gone, man. So I didn't really get to take advantage as much as I would have liked to of the Indiana IU School of Music, one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
I did get to do a little bit, but I would have really liked to have gotten a degree there in the jazz department. That's one of my regrets, And my good friend Kenny Aronoff, came out of there and got that degree, and look where he is. He's like the go-to guy, and I'm blessed to get to play with him here and there too. We're in a couple of things together, but that is a regret of mine that I didn't stick it out at IU. And I was just a kid, ready to rock and roll and go on the road.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, no, that's not. That's a lot of guys do that. It was. I came out to LA to go to Musicians Institute when growing up in Boston. I had Berklee College of Music right there. But at the time, my old man was. He was like, he basically said, he says, so let me get this straight. You're going to go to school for 4 years. You're going to get a degree doing what? You're going to come out of Berklee still playing the same blues and rock gigs, making $100 a gig as you did going, like, if you want a degree and you want to use it to like go into education or to use your degree. Says, but at that time, like I said, I was 18 too. It's like I'm going to go to Berklee and I'm going to graduate and I'm still going to play rock gigs. I'm still going to go to LA and I'm still going to do all that stuff. So that was kind of the same thought,
Yeah. Dino, there was one other guy, Tom Fowler. He played with Ray Charles and Zappa and stuff, and I still use this to this day, is one of his finger exercises. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
1, 2, 4, 3.
Yeah.
1, 3, 2, 4.
See that?
These are all left-hand exercises.
Yeah, these are left-hand exercises. But this was a really great. I still use this every warm-up.
Wow.
thing.
That's really
the
cool.
left
It's like staring at the
going.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks
So
easy, but what it does is
I don't think
really
that's.
it really builds your strength in your left hand. But
Yeah.
that Fowler thing right there, and I still,
that's awesome.
Do you have to
later,
start like at a slow tempo and then kind of increase it
Yeah.
as you're going through it? Yeah.
which is often, we know as bass players, this thing is like that's always right here, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Also, that exercise at a slower tempo is probably absolutely incredible for pocket. Just teaching
Absolutely.
pocket and that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't even need your right hand to do that exercise. You can just do it with your left hand too if you wanted to.
You could, and
You know?
then for the right hand, you start dun, 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 but then you can go da 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 da, so you can start to pick up.
Yeah.
So you the right hand too. I wanted to ask you guys a question as bass players. We all grew up having to put the needle back on the record, and what that did for us was develop these. Now, and I use them just like we all do. We use apps like AnyTune, if there's a big gnarly run or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are you guys using those apps?
Yeah, it's I use it's actually, what is it called? I have it right here. It's called Transcribe,
Transcribe.
where you
I was-
can slow down and speed up and change pitch and
And it keeps the pitch. So if you got a big Mahu Vishnu-ish run,
yeah.
it's a lot
But
easier.
You know what I've noticed though, Sean? You bring up a great point because it's so easy to dump an MP3 player into it and slow it down and listen. When we had to like move the needle, listen, it forced us to listen
Yes.
because I don't want to have to move this friggin' needle again. But you know what I mean? So yeah, I think in some ways it's probably my advancing age too, but your comprehension kind of slows down a little bit. And I'm wondering if it has something to do with I've just gotten lazy because now I have this cool app that I can just slow and you can set it so that it just keeps on repeating that one lick and you never have to like lift the needle or hit play. You just set it and it just keeps on repeating that same lick. And you
I'll have to use that because I haven't found an app that I love yet for that kind of thing. So you said it's called Transcribe?
Transcribe. I think it's like, I want to say it's like $30 or $40. It is a paid app.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dom, AnyTune Pro too is really good. And like Dino said, $30, but it was the best $30 I ever spent for a quick learn,
Yeah. Yeah.
which we have to do as bass players a lot.
Yeah. 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 In fact, I think I might have AnyTune on my phone.
I have it. It's amazing.
I know I have it on my iPad. I do. Yep.
Do you remember, Sean, do you remember the first record you learned by ear or first song? Do you remember like that feeling of how the heck did I just do that?
It was an ELP album called Brain Salad Surgery, and that song in the beginning, it taught me what a minor scale was. I'm like, oh, that's a minor scale. Okay. And that was my first, I was like, yeah, okay, that's a minor scale.
Yeah.
Kid. But we tried
cool.
to learn all the Yes and the obviously Zeppelin and Who songs, but Rush, but
yeah,
we weren't quite good enough, that was pretty technical,
Yeah.
So we trying to put our finger on the side of the record to slow it down, and we got a little bit of it right, but I just remember trying to learn stuff that was too advanced for me, trying over and over and over again. And Dino, you're right. It did something for our ears that I think kids probably might be missing out on today a little bit. Yeah.
It's fun. I say this all the time too, and I inherited my family's old Magnavox console stereo that sits in my living room now, and more often than not. Usually on Saturdays and Sunday mornings when the kids are home. You know, my daughters are all grown up now, but they still mooch off me and my wife. But but no, like we listen to records, and I remember like I have an amp set up next to it, just like I was 12 years old again. A little amp, practice amp with my bass, and on Sunday mornings I put on a record and I play to records. And I remember telling my daughters the same thing. It's like, yeah, back in the day, you literally, like, if you wanted to learn a song, you physically had to keep on moving that needle back and forth so that you could catch the lick. And I honestly believe that when you have to go through that much trouble to repeat a friggin' lick that you're trying to learn, you're gonna listen to it. Like, before you do anything, you're gonna listen to it and you're gonna retain it. And and then you'll mess around with it. But yeah.
Haji had a little note on transcribe. If you want to show that comment.
Oh yeah.
And then somebody else said there's a free open source similar app.
Oh yeah. Haji, up, dude.
Yeah. So Haji monitors all the commentary that comes in as well. So obviously you know Haji.
Yeah, it was really cool. They came out. I was playing with the music of Cream right before the pandemic, which was Ginger Baker's kid Kofi and Clapton's nephew Will John. So we were doing the whole Disraeli Gears record for the first set, and then we'd come out and do some Blind Faith and Clapton classics. But Haji came out in Seattle and
cool
and stuff. But that was a pretty cool gig. And we didn't know what COVID was, and my wife's like, I think things are going to change here. And I'm like, nah, we'll be fine. 3 days later, boom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were just fresh into that gig when COVID kind of hit and it shut everything down.
We were locked in too. We were playing the what do you call those event centers and theaters and stuff like that, and doing about 1,500 a night. Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
We got 2 weeks into that tour and just lights out.
Yeah. I remember, man. This so we're not so many things we can talk about that, but. And so I got to ask you, because I know, we're coming up on time here, but how did you get into acting, Sean?
Well, I grew up acting in the church when I was a kid, and I was always in plays and things like that. And, it was one of those things that I always enjoyed. And, when music took over, I got away from it. Rock and roll took me around the world, as I like to say, and so blessed to do, And when I got sober at 39, I was like, there's still some things that other than music that I'm interested in, And that was one of the things I wanted to dust off. So I started studying again. I've had a lot of teachers and did a lot of acting studios. And I started in again, and just little by little started building some tape, kept studying. And, I will put this caveat out there. It's not for everybody because we deal with a lot of rejection, Sure.
More than a musician?
Oh, my God. I mean, you think the music business is hard. The show, oh, my God.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it's the same. There's a lot of parallels,
Yep.
But it is, it's interesting because like later today, I could get an audition. I got one last week for a Costner Western.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you got to drop everything and just go, okay, and break that down, do your character work, put 2 days, hopefully you've got 2 days, or a day and a half. You got to put this thing on tape and send it in, and you got to do your work and turn that in very quickly. And about 95% of the time you hear nothing, and so everything else gets put on the wayside, and you switch gears and do that. So it's like I said, it's not for everybody, but it's something I really enjoy, the creative process of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've built some credits. I've been in a few things now, and we also wrote a film. Oh no, is that our time?
No, 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 no. Yeah, I should be on Do Not Disturb, I think.
We also wrote a film, Dino, that I'm super proud of, that we produced and starred in, and I also scored it. And it's called Road to Terzetto. It's about three brothers that get an inheritance.
Yeah.
Their dad on his deathbed tells them, "Hey, you know, I know I gave you guys up, and I was a terrible father and stuff, but here's an inheritance for you." And they go on this journey to find the inheritance, and then there's a bunch of stuff that you don't see coming, and it's a pretty neat journey.
That's cool. Is
Awesome.
that out soon?
No, we're in marketing distribution meetings right now to sell the film. 4 of us own it.
Okay.
I sent you the trailer. You got
Yeah.
you know, but we're going to be releasing that trailer soon just to get the buzz up on it.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
dude, 1,000 hours, man, just like anything, you know.
Yeah.
1,000 hours.
It looks really it really does look cool, man. You did send me the trailer, and I watched it just prior to this, so I didn't have but you know, something that a lot of people don't know about me and my wife is we are avid movie buffs.
Cool.
Like watching, and don't laugh, but watching the Oscars to us is like watching the Super Bowl. It's a big event at our house. Not that we throw a party, but keep in mind, I used to live right down the street from Mann's Theater when I lived in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, growing up in that, not growing up, but like I've always been infatuated with the Hollywood thing. So that's why I wanted to talk about your acting and how you got into it, because I watched that, and I've seen other things that you've been in, Sean, and watching that trailer, I don't want to sound like the typical, what do they call it? Armchair critic. But seriously, dude, that looks like it's going to be some of your best work. And I really mean that.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. We worked really hard on that. We wrote it in the pandemic. I also scored the film, which, you know, I had never scored a feature before. I'd done a few small things and short things, but wow. You want to talk about a lot of work.
Oh,
yeah. And that's composing and just finding the right song, the right emotion for the right scene.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, though.
Did you enjoy scoring it more than acting in it?
No, it was different. It was a different thing. I was really close to the film, so I felt like I had a good pulse on, you know, what music should have been. But at the same time, when you're doing that, you know, you got to collaborate and play in the sandbox, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Guys like Fred Curry helped me out a little bit from Cinderella, because, you know, he's gotten quite big in the scoring department. So he helped me a little bit, and I leaned on some friends. Some of my rock star friends gave me songs, and I think it turned out pretty cool. It's
cool.
Pretty rock and roll, and there's some bass in there, you know.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
I can't wait to see it. Yeah, it's, you know, a lot of people think. I remember watching it. It was a thing with Stanley Clark, and he was scoring. I forget what film he was scoring, but they followed him through the process. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, you get the film and you see the scenes and you just you put music to the scenes. But what they don't realize, and what I didn't realize until I saw this was years ago, how much work is put in between the composer and the producers. And, you know, it is such a huge collaboration of, you just don't write music and then send it off and they say yes or no. There's hands-on from everybody, you know, telling you, the composer, what they want and when they want it, sort of thing.
Exactly. I got a question for both of you guys. So what's your go-to movie that was like the one?
The one? For me, I think Gladiator, actually.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Russell Crowe. Okay,
Yeah.
like it.
Epic
My-
storyline, visually cool. I love the soundtrack.
do you know who scored that, Tom? Off the top of your
I know a lot of it is Enya, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now that you mention it, all those vocal tracks
Yeah.
when he's in that
It's
dream.
like dream
Yeah.
heaven state kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll look that up to see who actually scored. I'm wondering that. I thought it was Ridley Scott at one point, but no, Ridley Scott would have been directing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this
That
up.
sounds right.
Yeah.
Or Tony.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine was Rocky.
Nice.
The first Rocky, like the blend of, first of all, it's just a great movie. It's a great heroic movie, but the blend of that was the first music, or not musical, but that was the first movie where the music really hit me as hard as the movie did itself.
Mhm.
Bill Conti, blending that classic, orchestral with a rock band. I know obviously Tommy was, that was probably the original, the Who Tommy, but yeah, it was just, it was, that was probably, I met Tom, and I met Bill Conti years later at a gig I was doing at Pepperdine University. And I've never been so fanboyed out.
Oh, I've been the same way for sure.
And everybody's like, I gotta go meet Mr. Conti. They're like, who is this dude, Bill Conti? I was like, anyway, when I told them that story, I was like, man, I says, your soundtrack on Rocky. And I remember him saying too, reading interviews with Bill Conti, how he worked with Sly and Irwin Winkler, I think it is. Like how much of a collab that was between them, getting the whole film score thing. But yeah, that's. What was yours, Sean? Obviously, Tommy, but
for me, I love the classics, obviously, and all the old actors, but more current. Forrest Gump, I think, was one of the greatest movies ever, and not just the music, but it was the script, the subject, everything that was going on. And I think a lot of Tom Hanks's movies have that layers,
Yeah.
And then there was the music, which clearly they had a great budget for. And that's what it comes down to. I really want that Rolling Stones song in this, thing, but you got to have the budget for that.
Yeah.
So, when you're doing an indie film or, like we did or whatever, there's only so much budget. So I had to lean on a lot of people and compose some material for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Forrest Gump for me is one of the greatest current movies of all time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a really good one.
There's so many. Yeah, it's like there's so many great. I'm a huge, I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I'm a huge Coen Brothers fan.
Yeah.
I drive my wife nuts with Tarantino because she's not a big Tarantino fan.
No.
And
you either love or hate Tarantino. There's no middle ground there, probably.
And I've been forcing her to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with me.
I love that movie.
Great movie.
And it's funny. There's the one scene, and I watch it every year on my birthday, which is February 8th. I watch it every year because there's this one scene. The first time I saw this movie, I was on a flight coming back from Vienna, back home to Boston, and it was offered on the seat. And first time I watched it, and it was on my birthday. I was flying back, so I was all bummed out. I'm traveling on my birthday. I got no family. It's like I was in that headspace. And the one scene when Leonardo is sitting at the bar at the very beginning, and he's sipping on his whiskey sour, and the date comes across February 8th, 1969. That was my birthday. Well, I was born in 67, but it was February 8th. And the first time I saw the movie, was on my birthday on that plane, and that day came up. So it was like, now it's kind of like become this like weird symbionts where every year on my birthday I watch that movie, and it drives my wife Rachel absolutely batty. Like, on your birthday, we're crying. Can't you pick another movie that we can all enjoy?
That's funny.
It's my birthday, and
That's
they're
right.
advertising it on the movie. Shut up. Go make me a wish.
That's great. And lo and behold, I looked it up. Hans Zimmer and Lisa Gerrard were the main. It was the Gladiator soundtrack was mainly composed by them. I didn't know Hans Zimmer was on that.
Yep. That's cool. Yeah, man. So many great movies. Now, so let me ask you this, Sean. Do you think, as an actor versus a musician, do you think it's more important? Like you said, you took classes when you got back into acting. You actually studied with some people. Do you think, is that more important? Like, is that something that is more, I'm trying to think of the right word to say, but not more important, but help me out, Dom. Like,
I don't know what you're trying to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like for somebody, I guess,
like has more impact, maybe.
Yeah, like, I mean, you obviously, whether you're a musician, an athlete, or an actor, you have, to some degree, you have some sort of God-given talent, let's say. But at some point, you either decide you're going to take lessons and work on that talent, or you're going to practice, or you're going to study, or some people that are musicians, Keith Richards, for example, never took a lesson, never studied. And Keith, I would say, but are there actors that obviously they have a God-given talent of acting, but at some point you have to sit down and study with somebody to progress your career as an actor? Or is it something that you can just keep on practicing and practicing? Did I articulate that right?
I think you did. And I believe that you have to study. I mean, here's the deal. There's so much competition, and people are like really, really good, and you've got to get technically sound and understand. There's so much that goes into it. You have to understand all that. I don't think you can just phone it in when people say either you can act or you can't. And, there might be a little bit of truth to that, but there's so much other stuff, technical stuff, eye lines,
Right.
I could go into moment before, what your subtext. There's so many variables,
Yeah.
And then this age of self-tapes came, and now not only do you have to be the actor, but you've got to be the producer, the lighting guy, the sound guy, and that your acting can suffer because you're worried about your lighting and your sound.
Yeah.
And I got to upload the damn thing, and
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stuff. I choose to do the work as an actor and then go to a studio and tape, so I don't have to worry about the headaches of that. I just want to do work as an actor. I think if you're really serious about it, you need to go to the theater. You need to read plays. You need to read scripts. You need to understand. You have to understand the ins and the outs of it. Get a coach. Learn the technical stuff. Work on your craft, just like anything. Just like baseball. We had to learn, and we're always learning. The minute you stop learning, you're dead.
Yeah.
So, if you're really serious about it, you can't just go, I'm going to walk on set and be great. I think you've got to put in the work and continue to put in the work,
Yeah. It's just, like I said, just being a movie buff, and I really I've never tried my hand at it, but it seems like as a musician, you learn your parts, you go up on stage, you perform your parts. Nobody's really paying that much attention where you're looking, or your facial expressions, or your body language. But when you get into the acting side of things, it's like, okay, you have to learn your parts and you have to translate those parts like a musician has to translate their parts. But then there's so much other variables involved, like you say, eye direction, who you're looking at, facial expressions, body language.
Yeah.
It's such an art form, man, that involves so much of the body that I guess that's probably why I have so much respect for it. It's always fascinated me.
Yeah, your relationships with the people in the scene. I'll never forget this. I'll tell you a quick story. I was doing a movie in New Mexico, which I've been fortunate enough to work down there quite a bit, and I had a monologue, and I'll never forget it. There was like 35 people standing around the crew, you know, and you know, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, sound speeding, you know, and action, you know, and it was my monologue, and you're like, God, what was that first line again, you know? and let me tell you, man, it is not for the faint of the heart sometimes, because you know there's a lot of people working there for you, and you know you obviously want to do a great job, and you don't want to let anybody down, and you don't want to be late, and there's union things, and you got to make your days, man. And I'll never forget that. And like the first couple of takes, my heart was just like beating, you know.
Right.
There was a lot riding on it, you know, and it all comes down to, you know, sound speeding, you know, action, and it's your time to go, man. And the professionals can, and the non-professionals can fall to pieces in those.
Yeah. It's, you know, that's like, like they say, you know, that's the difference between Tiger Woods and an amateur. Tiger Woods can sink $1 million putt from 6 feet out.
Exactly.
When the money's riding on it. Speaking of something, this is another thing that I completely forgot about, Sean. So I didn't realize this, but not even thinking that we're having you on today for SVT time, but I come into work.
I can't see. Oh man, cool.
You gave me this, I don't know, a few years ago too, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even think of, like, somebody pointed it out. I was wearing it. They look, they go, Mayans, and I just, it dawned on me. I was like, oh no kid, I'm interviewing Sean today. Yeah. So it's so freaking cold in Dom's office. I can't believe he doesn't have a heater on in here. Okay.
Hot-blooded, man. Hot-blooded.
So we're just about out of time here, but before we let anybody go, I do this thing where I run 10 questions by you, rapid fire questions, and just give me the first answer that comes to mind. Okay. So let me get them up here. Dino, we call the working title is called Dino's 10 Rapid Fire, but we got to do something better than that.
And there are no wrong answers, but it says everything about you at the same time.
Oh boy,
no pressure.
No pressure.
I don't know if it says everything about you.
I'm definitely
all right,
dramatizing that.
All right, we ready? Here we go.
Ready.
Do it.
All right. Question number 1: P bass or jazz bass?
P bass.
Okay. Question number 2: Passive or active?
Depends.
Yeah.
That technically is the wrong answer, actually.
Yeah.
Active.
Active.
Okay. Question number 3: B15 SVT or Pro Series?
B15.
Okay. Number 4: Cable or wireless?
Oh, cable all the way.
Okay. Number 5, I think I know the answer to this one too. Number 5: pick or fingers?
Fingers are by the way of the truth.
Okay. Number 6: IEMs or floor wedges?
Floor wedges.
Okay. Number 7: pedals or no pedals?
I was always a no pedal guy, but I do use one.
Okay. Number 8: window or aisle?
Window.
Wow. Okay. That's the first window we've had. Number 9: high bunk or low bunk?
High.
Okay. And then number 10: black with white piping or silver and blue anniversary cosmetics?
Black with white piping.
Okay. That's it. Yeah. Cool.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
Nicely.
Survived.
Yeah.
You know what I forgot to say was with the window neck pillow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, that was I think everybody has said aisle seat so far. You're the first window seat. So we just started doing this a few weeks ago or a few episodes ago. So yeah. Man, that's awesome. Awesome. So what's next for you, Sean? What are you working on? Any new projects, musical or acting? I know you talked about your feature but
yeah, I just did another movie. I can't say the name of it yet, but it's a rock and roll thing. I play a rock and roll manager.
Okay.
Manages this rock star kid,
So you get to be a bad guy.
He's not a bad guy. He's a little bit of that Beverly Hills high-end manager guy.
Dino's just projecting. That's all.
Kind of fun. But let's see. I'm always playing the Ultimate Jams on Tuesday night.
Oh, cool. Yep.
I'm always a part of that. I've got a gig with the ZO2, which is that great New York rock band that had a show called ZO2 on Wednesday night. Couple other things. I play in a Tina Turner tribute band that has a horn section.
Nice.
Debbie Holiday. I absolutely adore her in that band. And, I know you're a horn guy too, Dino. So anytime we get to play with a good horn section, we're stoked.
Absolutely. It's like.
Dom, you played with a good horn section?
I have not had that pleasure yet, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
But I would love that.
Yeah.
It's the
whole thing to another level,
And you don't have to play as much. That's the other thing too. I call myself a lazy player. So when you have a horn section, it's just nailing the one every single time. I
there's some great horn players, but never like an actual section together. That's
one more thing. We have this band called the Keith Richards, which is Gilby Clark, myself, Teddy Andreas on keys. We have Kenny Aronoff a lot on drums, and I do some lead singing in that as well, and that's something I'm really trying to work on. I think as bass players, that you got to be able to sing, as you guys will. And if you can sing a couple of leads, I think your stock goes up a little bit.
Agreed.
Take a couple off, you're more employable. Obviously, I'd be able to sing backgrounds, but I get to do that a little bit in the Keith Richards, and we got a gig coming up at the Bourbon Room.
Oh, cool! Yeah, that's a great venue.
And then we got that Brown M&M's band, which is we play all old Van Halen, and it's Eric Dover, Toshi Yanagi, and Joe Travers on drums.
Okay.
Not a tribute band, but we just have fun and we play all the Dave era bands.
Nice. I know, that's great. That and Keith Richards are both great band names.
That is. Keith is?
I'm sorry?
Keith, actually.
No, I know. That's so funny.
Oh, they call Keith.
Keith
was this stuff in the 70s in your bag of marijuana. It was like the dust in the bottom or something. And that was Keith.
That was Keith. Yeah. But I would know that, but
so I've been told.
Yeah. When is the next Ultimate Jam? Do you
It's coming up a week from tonight.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, that's Chuck was on a few months ago, I want to say now. And I told him, I said, one of these weeks, Tom and I are going to come down when I'm in town and it's happening on a Tuesday. We're going to come down and hang out and say hello. And it's all these great players that hanging out at the whiskey, and there's no cover charge.
Yeah. It's a wonderful night, man. And a lot of great people, like you said, show up, and And LA really needed something like that. So, you know,
Yep.
big thanks to Chuck for making that happen. I know it's a lot of work to put all that together,
God, yeah.
you know, and I'm going to be breaking out. I got 4 or 5 SVTs in the garage, but I'm Wednesday night, I'm taking one of my cabs and one of the newer heads, which sounds great, by the way, for the ZO2 gig, because the other bass players play on the other side. So he's like, "Can you bring your rig?" And I go, "I got rigs." Yeah. Putting that in the back of the Prius. You know, you can actually get an 810 and a head.
I've heard.
The back of a Prius.
Yeah. I've heard a Prius and a Honda Fit too.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you're a Prius, you drive a Prius too?
Well, it's my wife's old car, so we keep it. I call it the gig car.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
It's the moneymaker car for the moneymaker bass.
it gets the job done. I can't put it in my Mercedes, so
Yeah.
Before we go, I will tell you my ultimate funny Prius story, and it involves Rudy as well. So we're here in Calabasas. Rudy, he and I were going out for lunch. He says, "I'll swing by Calabasas and pick you up." I've never driven with Rudy before. He comes in, I show him around. We go back out to the parking lot. There's a Prius and a Corvette parked next to one another. We're walking towards the parking lot. And again, I didn't know what Rudy drove. So I'm assuming he's driving the Vet. So I start walking to the passenger side of the Vet. He starts walking to the driver's side of the Prius. He goes, "No, Dino, I'm over here." I was like, "You're driving the Prius." I said, "Rock star, I thought you were driving a Corvette." He goes, "No," I said, "I don't drive a Corvette. I drive a Prius, man." So I was like,
that is awesome.
So and so many other people I know drive Priuses, and they're a fantastic car. Don't get me wrong, but I thought that was the funniest thing. It's like, you know, yeah, somebody had joked on one of Rudy's live streams that we did. Like there was a car, the background noise. It was a loud car in the background. Somebody had joked that must be Rudy's Ferrari driving off. I was like, no, he actually drives a Prius, guys. Like, that's how, you know, he's totally down to earth. He drives a freaking Prius. So
funny. Actually, Rich Hill wants to know, does the 810 go on the side or the back in terms of the Prius?
It goes flat.
Flat?
Yep.
Yeah. And
good
you
question.
can do it by yourself. It's all about using the gravity, and you just
the leverage of the
pick it up and
yep.
You know,
Yep.
I'd always my theory is do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah.
So the 810 and the head going that Prius quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's when I was doing clinics at the time, you know, guys would say, you know, I'd always demo through an 810 and an SVT, and guys would say, "Oh man, there's no way I could fit that in my Honda Civic and this and that." I was like, well, first of all, you know, and I say this kiddingly, but if you're a bass player, you better have a rig that can haul a bass rig. You better have a car that can haul a bass rig. And the reason why I say that is, again, back when I was in high school, many, many moons ago, I had a 69 Volkswagen Bug that we pulled the passenger seat out of so I could put my 810 cab on its side in the passenger seat and put my head on the back bench in the back of the Bug. And so where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
I got to say this too. I have a 410 HLF and an SVT3.
Yep.
Sounds really good too.
Yeah.
And if there's ever, sometimes if there isn't room or something, I'll bring the SVT3 and an 810 cabinet, and that sounds amazing too. You know what I mean? If my back's hurting or something like that.
Yeah.
But I got to say that the 410 HLF and the SVT sound great too in the smaller applications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nothing beats an 810 cab in a seat, man.
No,
it's
never.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I used to have a spreadsheet. I got to find it someplace when I was, you know, every week I was on the road for Ampeg, and every week I would have a different rental car. And every week I would have to haul an 810 cab in some capacity from one store to another. And I had a spreadsheet of all the rental cars that I had and how many 810 cabs you could potentially fit in the back of that car. And it was like everything from Volkswagen Golfs to Dodge Chargers to like, Dodge Charger you can fit in the back seat lengthwise across the width of the car.
Wow.
I gotta find that spreadsheet somewhere because it was probably like this. I think it was a list of like 35 or 40 different cars and how many 810 cabs you would be able to fit into each.
That's hilarious. That's good knowledge. Good to have.
I do my research. Oh man, Sean, thank you so much. I know we kept you long here, but man,
pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me on SVT.
It's awesome, man.
Absolutely, and we will definitely have you back. You know, this isn't a one and done. We always get back to revisiting folks and seeing how everybody's at, especially with new projects. And you know, when projects come out, absolutely, you know, it's a good vehicle to advertise stuff too. So,
and Dino, like I said, I've got 2 bikes here, so if you want to go ride and have a cigar in LA, I don't know if you ride, Dom, but you're welcome.
I don't, unfortunately, not yet. I don't know. Dino's got to teach me.
No, I'm not holding that responsibility.
Dino's got to teach me, and then never tell my wife, and then we'll be fine.
No, thank you though. Yeah, one of these. Like I said, when my schedule, when I start coming out a little more often, because at one point I was out every month. There's just so much to do here in Calabasas, but
I'm dying to come out there and see the plants.
Dude, seriously, even if I'm not here, if Dom's here, we're actually working on some new stuff that I won't say what it is, but we want to have you come out and give us the thumbs up or the thumbs down or suggestions on what we got to do. So
thank you. Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Everybody, thank you for watching, for tuning in. You know, like I said, this is episode 50. We'll keep doing these until they tell us to stop doing them and you guys stop watching them. So please, you know, like I said, keep your comments coming with artists that are on. You know, we always love seeing comments and suggestions and questions. And I want to say thank you to Dom for always having my back on this. Erin in the background for always putting this together. And she's the evil ringleader, actually. She puts all this for us. And of course, Haji for for watching the commentary and putting up links and stuff like that. So until next time, guys and gals, we'll see you. Sean, thank you again. And
Thanks,
stay healthy, everyone.